Hello, good afternoon. This is Austin Thompson, and I'm back for the final interview with none other than Ronic West and Miss ShaGraila here at the Augusta Black Chamber, the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce in Augusta, Georgia, of course. And this is the final interview, the fifth of 5 interviews we had scheduled this afternoon, and thanks to the Chamber for scheduling these interviews for the On Location Spotlight Entrepreneur feature. This is an opportunity for me to come out to Augusta and to meet with the entrepreneurs, not all the members, but a few of the members who were able to schedule interviews this afternoon, members of the Chamber. And I am glad to have that opportunity at the invitation of the Chamber's president, Ms. West, to come out and interview some of their most esteemed members of the Chamber. So good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Oh man, this is great. So tell us a little bit about yourselves and Ms. Ronic and Ms. ShaGraila. Am I pronouncing that right? ShaGraila. And there's nothing else that Austin Thompson won't do than butcher someone's name. So I'm going to allow you to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Let's go first.
Alrighty. Well, hi everyone. My name is ShaGraila, and I'm an Augusta native. I sit on the board for the Greater Augusta Black Chamber as the VP member at large. Anything else?
What do you do? I think so. What you do?
I know you play a significant role here in the Chamber. We need to know what you do.
I'm about to say,
you own a business?
I do.
Okay.
My business is ShaGraila Leanne & Co., which is a marketing and branding company.
All right.
Where I help small businesses and startup businesses understand the importance of branding, and then once they develop their brand, teach them how to market their brand. Because a lot of people don't know that those are two totally different things. I think it's all one thing. And then with the Chamber, like I said, I'm the VP member at large, so I kind of, fill in where I can, attending events when we were having events before COVID. I was, happy to be the face of the Chamber so people can see someone out and about. And then with the Now Leaders, working with Kiwana Cherry, which is the other half of Now Leaders, where we focus on making sure that Gen Z, we added them recently.
That's right.
They're important. Yes. And the millennials understand the importance of gaining business practices and giving them information for those who want to start businesses.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm Ronic West. I'm the president and co-founder of the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. So, as the founding president, you're learning a lot. That's what I'll say. But just to introduce myself, I am originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. I once lived in Memphis. Had a long time in corporate America. Literally quit my job on my birthday and have been in the entrepreneur world ever since. I do have a consulting firm working on a lot of different things, a lot of different partners, but my passion is, of course, the Black Chamber of Commerce. So hopefully that gives you.
Oh yes. That gives us a little bit. So tell us, what was the motivation for leading a chamber? Right, it's a massive effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about leading a chamber, but as the chamber's president, what is the motivation for leading the chamber?
Oh, I would say I always worked in the community. So even as a kid, I've always, when I was in elementary, where I worked with community efforts, Just Say No Club, I think it was back in the day. I remember being the VP of that club and just really working with the mayor of the city at that point in time, being interviewed kind of like today.
Exactly.
And so that's just something that was always instilled in me as a kid growing up with my parents and my great-grandparents living next door, that you always serve the community. No matter what you did in your day, you still had that aspect of community. Of course, growing up in church, usually it was at the church where you kind of spent a lot of your time, but we also always had the aspect of volunteering. So I volunteered there, and then the Indiana Black Expo, which a lot of people probably know. I was actually their assistant to the director of the youth department. So I did a lot when I was a teen, even with just celebrities and stuff, and putting things together. So it's always been in me, always been an aspect of who I am. Now that I'm stepping more into this nonprofit space, I am learning a lot and building a chamber. But really the way it came about was the community was asking for a way to pull Black business owners together, and got asked 3 different times by 3 different people in 3 different ways, because God knows how I need to hear it to get confirmed. And then we got some leaders and business owners in the community together, began to like kind of venture out and say, hey, we're thinking about putting a chamber of commerce together, more to just help, the small business owners in the community. Didn't know that Black chambers existed, honestly. We were just going to build another chamber. And then we learned that Black chambers, Asian chambers, all these different culture chambers, women chambers, I mean, you name it, it exists. And we were like, whoa, like we didn't know this. Why we don't know this, and then realized they had been around for over 50 years. And so we were missing out on opportunities, initiatives, even just networking and collaborating with other chambers, because we didn't have anything that existed here. And so, at that time we kind of just all met, started putting everything together, the bylaws and so forth. And when it came time to vote president, everybody looked at me. So that's how that happened. To be honest. And a vote happened, and it was kind of unanimous. So I think everybody's like, I'm not taking that on. But that's how we got here. Just in case you didn't know that story.
So they saw that potential in you, right? They said, Ronic West, she has done all this phenomenal things up to this point. So when it comes time for president, everybody looking around.
It's not like, hey, I want to be the president, I want to do a chamber. It was more of a community. I have a passion for the community. How can I help? That's really, my objective. I am not a person about titles. If anybody follows me on my personal social media, I don't even have my titles up. I'm not a title person whatsoever. I'm just like, okay, what can we do to get the work done? I'm not a hype person. Hype doesn't stop the work. We have a lot to do for our Black community, which we'll get more into later.
And that's important because, you mentioned not knowing about Black chambers or female chambers or Asian chambers, but it's great to have an organization like a chamber that represents your demographic. And there's also youth chambers. I've seen youth chambers, and it's wonderful because sometimes individuals feel as if they're not getting the services they need from other chambers. So,
I think it's what has happened or what happens in America. I'm a big data person. We have not effectively solved anything. When you talk about the wealth gap, it's 247 year wealth gap. It's we're projected to hit zero median wealth by 2053. I just read a report. They're saying Black people have like 1% of wealth compared to other cultures, where it's $1, per person or whatever. And it's like, okay, so when you put it all together, you're not going to get everything done. So you have to first address it specifically, because specific things were done to specific groups. So you have to specifically address that group first. Then once you start solving those issues and seeing those numbers change overall, then you can then go into an effort of putting it all together. That's why that happens. And I understand it.
Exactly. And that's where the importance or the significance of a chamber that represents you. Right, as a female entrepreneur, as an Asian entrepreneur, as an African American entrepreneur, right? And Ms. ShaGraila, in your capacity, how is it working with the chamber?
I absolutely love it. I'll speak on it from 2 perspectives. So from a personal perspective, it helped me as a business owner, because there were things I didn't understand in business that I was able to learn from the other board members, and then also the other members that came in. And then on the actual sitting on the board side, it allowed me to navigate skills that I didn't really realize that I had, or to tap into skills that I weren't really using, and then understand my strengths and my weaknesses. So it's been a joy.
And that's great. And not only are you on the board, right, or an executive, but you're also learning as a business associated with the chamber and helping you grow, right, and utilizing the resources, right. And how long has the chamber been in existence?
3 years.
Yeah,
3
plus years.
All right. So you're young. You're a young chamber.
Yes, very young.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And before the Greater Augusta Black Chamber, did African American business owners and entrepreneurs in the Augusta area have an organization with which to network and members to come together and network with one another?
Not that I know of. I was kind of breaking into the scene really then 3 years ago. So if there was something, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I know it's definitely a lot of networking groups before we started formulation. And then I know we have a business league that focuses more on education piece for the community and has been around for a very long time. But this is the first really newer, I always say innovative organization that Augusta's really seen, where it provides that networking, education, then programming as well. And a lot of different components that is happening and true for entrepreneurs today.
Right, that's great. That's great. And what are some of the services you provide? If I'm joining the chamber, what are the services? What are some of the services and activities I can participate in?
Yeah, we have a lot going on
Oh,
all the time.
well, that's great because you're active, right?
Yes, we're
that's
very
great
active.
because you're active and
yeah. So at weekly we have a Friday morning 9 a.m. We call it now the CSRA Impact Call because not only do we service the Augusta community, we cover the whole entire CSRA, which is 18 counties. So that is like Aiken, South Carolina, also Columbia County, Hephzibah, so just cities within the 18 counties. So just in case you guys didn't know, we have members that stretch throughout the county, even as far as Columbia, South Carolina.
Right.
We're starting to get members from Atlanta too now.
Great,
because a lot of people do business in Augusta.
Yes.
But as a member, you can join that. Well, member or non-members actually are able to get on that call. Then we have general body members for our members, which is a quarterly call. And so that way you guys can get information on what the chamber has going on, any initiatives we can help you with, and so forth. We do constant workshops. You just actually did one for us yesterday on the 26th on the PPP wrap up. We're really focused on making sure our community has the most up-to-date information that's effective for them to learn it in that way. So I can't stress that enough. A lot of times the delivery of things are not effective for our community, and it's best that it comes from really our organizations that are minority led and so forth, because we have been impacted the same way as the community. So it's really important that we're delivering those things. You also have a membership. For members, you get membership discount. You get a lot of information. During the pandemic, I can't tell you, we don't have any businesses that were actively engaged with the chamber that even are in a threat of closing. All of them got grants, PPP lending, loans, etc. I mean, everything we're sending out, we're constantly sending you out grants, information. I know I have one member, she applies for everything. She tells me when she gets it, I think she's got at least 5. Like, she's like, I got this, I got this, I got that. So, that's a huge value. I even heard from other leaders that say, I have not seen a chamber give out this much information in a very long time. I think that's very critical because as entrepreneurs and business owners, you can't watch and understand what's all happening. And it's so much stuff that's going on, so you have to be connected to an organization that will funnel that information to you, that is critical to keep your doors open, help you grow, give you the opportunities, those necessary access to capital, make sure we're connecting to those partners, have those resources. So that's critical. We also have an online training platform that we just rolled out. So orientations online, a lot of more classes are going to come online and so forth. Of course, we have the general things like round tables and other initiatives as far as we've done over 50, even over a young table, we've done over 50 workshops. We've had over 100,000 views in our virtual things. We've done some initiatives with Payne College. We welcomed in the new president. We did the first State of the Black Health with Doctors Hospital that went off really well with some doctors. So we as a new organization is really just pushing the envelope and will continue to really get things here in Augusta. So you really want to join us.
And that's great because I was telling the ladies prior in the prior interview about the value of being part of this organization, right? And if all of your businesses are still in business who are members of the chamber, that's phenomenal.
Yes.
That means you haven't lost anyone. So all of the information that you're providing is valuable. And when I first encountered the Greater Augusta Black Chamber, I came out here to set up as an exhibitor at one of the events you had. And I mean, I had to leave because I was hosting an event that evening, so I had to get back to Atlanta. So I had to break down my exhibition and then head back to Atlanta.
Right.
But I was enjoying, speaking with the exhibitors who were there and the speakers who were there, and it was a great event.
Right.
It was a great event. And what are the sizes of businesses that you have as members of the chamber?
Right now, we really do have that small business, not the small business that first got defined by, I don't know who came out with that number that was like it's $500,000 in revenue. I was like, that is not a small business. Yeah. I don't know who came out with that number. I used to be in corporate forever. Yeah. I can tell you mid-sized corporate, that is not a small business. So we definitely have those small businesses that are owners that are probably under 250K mostly, under, up to 7 employees, mostly independent contractors, at home businesses. And, we're really working with those businesses that are, needing to figure out what's my next steps. Maybe they're transitioning, maybe they need to add an employee. So we really are hitting that niche market that nobody's really working with, because it is more of a area where you need to do more hand holding, provide more technical assistance and so forth. So I can't stress leadership enough throughout the country, and definitely everywhere, and especially here, that you really need to get with those organizations that are willing to do that work and make sure, hey, how can we provide technical assistance dollars so you can do more? How can we make sure that you have the things that you need as an organization to support the community because of the work you're doing? So that is really where we really kind of hit the target at. And
that's where we see the value of the chamber. That's where we see, the value proposition that you offer as a chamber. The many programs, activities, and your members are getting the grants and the financial assistance to remain operable.
Yes.
And that's successful.
Yes. I mean, the pandemic really revalidated the need for the chamber. Because it was so many business owners in this particular area in the CSRA that could not get either approved for loans or this, that, and other, but because of the resources. And we work with a coalition of chambers throughout the Southeast, and because of the things we have just came together and kept doing and sharing resources, etc., we were able to say, okay, we'll connect with this person, they'll be able to get you approved, or whatever. And that's how we were able to really keep a lot of businesses operating, and the ones that are engaged and are members with us. And so it was just, it really was like, okay, eye-opening, like, okay, we have to keep going.
Exactly. And how many counties?
It's 18 counties in a CSA.
18 counties, wow.
Yes, it is.
So that's a vast connection. So it's like entrepreneurs in Augusta and Richmond County, they have access to all these other businesses in these 18 counties.
They do. If they start engaging, when members come on, I can't stress the calls that we have. That's really critical. Get on the weekly calls, because then you'll start understanding our network. So we really work through the CSRA. We're working to engage heavily more in the CSRA area, but we already are engaged heavally with the Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce, the Savannah Black Chamber of Commerce, the Athens, the Northeast Black Chamber of Commerce. They just changed their name. The Albany Business Alliance, I want to say is their name. Beaufort Black Chamber of Commerce.
Oh wow!
So those are, like, if you notice, the 5 major cities almost in Georgia that your business, that's our network. So if they're on that Friday call, you hear as a network what we're doing. Right now we're really working as a coalition of chambers to push initiatives through each city. So we were able to help get a program up and running and assist as group of chambers in Athens. We've been pushing to work to get that program happening in Augusta for about 8 months. But that's what you're seeing. We're seeing where the best practices at as the Black chambers, what programs really work for that community base. And then we're saying, okay, now let's run it in each one of the organizations.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's definitely a different world than you just being a member of one chamber and not being able to have access to everything, but you'll have access to all those networks and what all those chambers are doing, which if you've been participating in calls, you see that already.
Exactly. And if you're a small business out here in the Augusta, Georgia area, I mean, you're hearing it from the president, the reason why you should be a member of the chamber, or even if you're outside the Augusta area, in one of the 18 counties, or even in the Metro Atlanta area, there's no reason why you can't engage the Greater Augusta Black Chamber,
Yes.
right? And Ms. ShaGraila, what is your day-to-day operations like? Your day-to-day activity,
Regarding the chamber.
regarding your chamber?
Well, I sit at the Black Chamber desk here at the clubhouse.
Mhm.
So I get a lot of people who get to come into the clubhouse, which is a co-working space in Augusta, Georgia, who pretty much ask me what I do. And so then I get to share information about the chamber that way. So that is kind of like my day-to-day.
Right.
When it's time for events, step up and help there. And of course, the chamber with the Now Leaders, we have different programs that we do to, we have different things that we do to make sure we reach out to the millennials and the Gen Z, since we recently added those as our target audience. So pretty much mostly spreading the word. Because word of mouth is huge here in the city of Augusta. Is the number one thing that I do.
Right. And you mentioned the millennials and Gen Z, right? How significant is it for the chamber to play a role in the development of businesses that are started by millennials and those of the Gen Z generation? Because, when we think business ownership, right? When we think entrepreneurship, we think it's only adults starting businesses, right? But you have folks who in their teenage years who are starting businesses, right? As young as their teenage years. So how significant is that for the chamber to play that role?
I feel like it's really important because, like Ronic was saying, we have the tools and the education, to provide them with the things they probably aren't even thinking of.
Right.
But pretty much presenting it in a way that is understandable to them, in a way that they can grasp it, so that they can, successfully start a business. And it's not, I just, made a lip gloss business and I did it, when I was 18 and, here it is, they're 25 and they're like, now I want to figure out how to get it started. No, let's catch you at 18. Let's give you the proper tools. Let's give you that, the correct wording, the messaging, everything that you need.
Exactly.
Help you find funding, help you understand how to secure funding, keep funding, all those things, gain capital, get access, advertise, everything. Let's train you now, let's teach you here, let's provide you with those things so that it won't be, I just, had this thing and years later now I want to figure it out. No, we're going to set you up and start you off on the right way.
Right.
So that they can be successful because the economy runs on small business.
Yes.
And so why not, grab them at a young age?
Exactly. 30.5 million small businesses in the U.S. 66% of all net jobs created by small businesses. Right. That's significant.
Yeah.
Right. And in an earlier conversation with Madam President, traditionally young people are looking for alternatives to going to college.
Yeah.
Right? So if they're not going off to college right after high school, they're coming into their 17th year, their 18th year, ready to start a business.
Right.
Passionate about entrepreneurship, right? Passionate about that sense of independence, right? So having access to the chamber is important for them.
It is. We ran an internship this year, which actually was with Gen Z. They were in seniors in high school.
Right.
2 of them actually had businesses.
Wow.
So they interned with the chamber. They got to see the inner workings, the back end. They ran the social media for about all through the pandemic for the most part.
Right.
And so they really learned a lot. So it was really just good to connect. But I can't stress the importance of, I was kind of talking to you earlier about the makeup of the board. And I really on purpose made sure we had each generation represented. Because a lot of times, it is a generational fight. I think Greg can agree with me. But it's important that if you want to connect with the younger generation, that you listen to them and you let them make decisions. Yeah. You can't just say, we want you to come in the room, talk to us. Actually put them in leadership positions. Allow them to lead. They, millennials are not young anymore, as a lot of people say. It's Gen Z group. I think is up to 25 or 23.
I believe 24.
Yeah. So so that's really important that you put them in those leadership roles, so that then they know that they can make the decisions and their opinions really do matter. And then you're having more balance actually activities out of your organization.
Right.
So, Gray and the Now Leaders handle chamber check-ins. You know, that's just a social media, like, interview, like, fun thing. They do music, this and other. I wouldn't really think about doing all that.
Yeah.
But millennials like, no, we need the music, we need it, and it engages
they bring
the group.
They bring a different dynamic.
Yes.
I mean, we were 18 years old at one time. We were 21, 22.
Yeah, our mind's not thinking that way anymore.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's great because they're able to bridge those gaps and bring different ideas to the table that we wouldn't even think of, right?
No. Or like even when we're playing something, they're like, well, that's not really gonna reach our audience, or that will work, But if you don't have them in a room making the decisions, and you're like, well, we have the information, but you're not connecting. Well, it's because it's probably coming from one particular generation that you're trying to reach everybody, but you have to begin to involve them in those leadership roles and conversations, and they're the leaders now. Exactly. We should be moving back into more of an eldership advice.
More advising, more advising, and outside of the black chambers in the 18 counties, who are some of your partners? Who are you partnering with, and what are you doing in these partnerships?
Yeah, for sure. So in the partnerships here in Augusta, the clubhouse, that's where we are today. Okay. And so we have a partnership with them where we, definitely meet on a regular basis. All the partners we meet like monthly and talk about what they have going on, what we're doing on. We make sure we share each other's initiatives with each other's, marketing information. And then 600 Broad Street, who has been a partner since our inception. When they were asking me to come in the building, I'm like, no. Then they heard I was working on a chamber. It's like, would you at least let the chamber be here? I'm like, sure. So, I'm not sure how the word got out, but they have been a partner since day one. So gotta mention them. NAACP of Aiken has been a partner of ours for about 2 years. We are strengthening that relationship, so we're just excited about that and see what all happens there. Right. Vexplex, which is in North Augusta, South Carolina. They are definitely a member, and then also we have an agreement with them, so we have offices over there now. So we'll be doing some events there as well. And then Fifth Third Bank has been our banking partner since day one. And I can't stress enough, like they rolled out the carpet. They were like, hey, we want you here. They're just a great, awesome team to work with.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And you can't do anything without partnerships.
Yes. Partnerships are huge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Ms. ShaGraila, do you have any connection or role to play in developing the partnership with the chamber?
Well, I guess I did.
The clubhouse?
Yeah.
That was all great. She's so grounded. I guess, no, it's the
She's
clubhouse.
Trying to be modest. She's trying to be modest.
Yes. That was all great.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So if someone is interested in joining the chamber, right, what are the levels of membership that you have?
Sure. So, first, we definitely do everything online. So go to the website, www.mygabcc.org, and just click on membership. But you'll see a level. We actually have monthly membership now. So we worked, we actually during the pandemic really got some initiatives off the ground. We didn't have a business directory. We have that now. We wanted to add monthly membership. We now have that. So it's a monthly membership. I think it's $22 a month, or it's under $25. I can't remember the exact amount. And then all the way up to corporate, and then like our diamond levels. So we do have like the bigger corporate sponsorships as well. Right. So we do cover all the different areas from there. So $22 a month, $150 is the next one, which is our professionals in our home business. So as a professional, I do want to say that you can still join a chamber, because we still need volunteers to help us with technical support when we run events, sit on different committees. We have the Now Leader Committee, we have our Executive Assistant Committee, we have our CFO Committee, we have our VP of Business and Financial Affairs, we have our Marketing Committee, and then we have another committee we're working on. So it's always somewhere where we may need some assistance. So as a professional, you can still engage with the chamber, join at our or even our $150 level and do that, and then from there it goes up like $250, $450 and up.
And I like the diversity of the membership, the members that I interviewed today.
Okay.
Right? Yes. So what is the composition of your membership? Do you find that it's more people in the more entrepreneurs in the service-based space or IT? What is the composition?
I would say, what you gonna say?
I'm thinking service-based.
What, service-based?
Is it?
No, we have a good round. We have a good round membership.
Yeah,
actually,
that's good.
The good thing, and I think that speaks to the dynamics of purposely positioning and being specific about who's on the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I talk about some of the board, like Hirwana Cherry. He's always out in the community. We call I forgot what the nickname was. The one man band because he does everything. He's in farming. He's musician. He's this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, the VP at large, and then works with now leaders, and then he runs our tech sometimes when we're having a larger event. So, you know, then we have Leah Abney, who's our VP of Business Affairs, Financial Affairs. She actually works in government, has forever, but she's really a project manager, analyst. That person is really like soft-spoken, but man, she's a beast, you know? We got our CFO, Devonna Rancy, who is a specialist in QuickBooks and, getting CPA. I think she's working on her master's. Leah is too, from my understanding. So really an educated group. And then plus they have their own businesses. Our CFO right now, she has multiple businesses. And so it's just, you know, but she really handles that financial piece, not only on the business side, but also the personal side.
Right.
So it's humongous to have that because we know that impacts our community, the business and the personal. We can't really disconnect the two.
Right.
And so then we have Loomis Vic, who's the newest board member, who owns the Bexplex actually.
Okay.
So he just came on and he's in our but he's done so much. I don't even know what, like, I couldn't even tell you his resume. Yeah. It's ridiculous. And so he will really be handling our hemp farming initiative that's, you know, heavy right now because the black farmers or, you know, or people of color farmers too are getting a big handout from the American Rescue Plan.
Yeah.
So he's really going to be tackling that, making sure we get that into our community. So, and then we have Ismail, who is not stateside, but he's going to be handling our marketing as well. Then we have Latasha, who's like an extension of the board. She's our executive assistant. And so that piece, and then, you know, you have Gray here today.
That's right.
So yeah, I think the membership shows you the diversity in our board. It's not just service-based. It's not just marketing companies. We have an HR company. We have an office supply company. We have barber shops, beauty shops. We have consultants. We have therapists. We have people who work with the homeless. We have daycare, bars. So we're hitting the gambit.
You're hitting them all from all sectors, from all industries. And it's great because it was great to interview these two ladies prior to interviewing the two of you, and they're in the mental health space. Mental health, anxiety and stress, motivational, you know, and you know, like I always say, it's, you know, it's not always about the financial advisors, the CPAs, you know, the manufacturers.
Not at all.
But it's about the services, the other services that we tend to overlook, right? They're not traditional.
Right. And I think, you know, when you speak about mental health, and I remember when I emailed out that we were doing a mental health panel, and you were like, oh, wow, you know, I never even thought about this until the pandemic and how stressful, but entrepreneurship and business ownership is one of the stressful things anybody can undertake. So I know social media makes it look pretty, but it is not pretty. When you look at the risk scale, it's one of the highest risks up there. You know, you have your, like, I think it's like real estate stuff is below owning a business. And even Texas Roadhouse CEO just unfortunately committed suicide. So, you know, I mean, I think, you know, we have to like be realistic about really what happens in entrepreneurship. So as a chamber, we actually started a Health as Wealth initiatives where we're actually the first Monday of the month. Like I said, we got a lot going on. We at 6 a.m. we really want everybody to start off their month healthy. So we're bringing in local trainers and local health experts. It's going to be 20-30 minutes of exercise, 10-minute talk either on mental health, food prepping, or whatever. And we're going to do that every month because we want the community and our business owners to be healthy. And that's so critical, especially during the pandemic.
Exactly. And even though now we're isolated because of the pandemic, doesn't mean we stop interacting. You know, it doesn't mean that you, as a chamber, you stop planning. Oh no, you know, and stop engaging.
We've been busy. We've been swamped.
So it's needless to say that the pandemic and COVID negatively impacted you. But how did it impact you all in some way?
I mean, just from in-person events. I mean, it's some things that we wanted to do to get out in the community. We had to pivot. We always do a strategic planning session at the beginning of the year before we kick things off to really say, okay, what happened? Did this work last year? Where are we at? What do we want to do as an organization? Right. How can we improve? And so, of course, with the pandemic, it was 2020. I think that's when we had our first meeting.
Okay.
You came, and then after that, the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And
we
were
right
like,
before the pandemic.
Yes. And so we like, oh, scratch this.
Right.
Move everything online. And so that's kind of like where we all just pivot. But it didn't stop anything because I've been in a virtual world working from home for 8 years. A lot of people don't know that. So I actually had I was a team leader for a team in Alpharetta.
Right.
So for me, virtual world is like my world. So it didn't stop anything. It was like, okay, well, we'll just move everything online. It's like, well, how you doing? This is how you do it. You know, so that's literally what we did. And then we ran one of the first big I would say initiatives to pull all the community leaders together and get information out into the city of Augusta, because we kept seeing a bunch of town halls in other cities and we realized we didn't have one here. So I started reaching out to people in Augusta and said, hey, can you get the school board? Can you get these? Because the community doesn't know what to do and no one has given them the information, but everybody's at home on social media. We'll run this as a chamber, and that was one of our largest events that we had, and we was like, hey, just come on there, tell people how they can help their kids while they're out of school, you know, this, that, and other. We had every organization pretty much represented in Augusta to get that out, and that really encouraged what I seen the city to start running live Facebooks. Other organizations started running live Facebooks and so forth. So I like to say that we're definitely pushing the narrative to innovate.
Well, that's great. That's great. So where do you, with all of this going on, it sounds wonderful, right? Because it sounds like you have a very active chamber.
We do.
Right. So where is the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce in the next 5 to 10 years? Where are you? Where do you see? Where's your vision taking you?
Great. Do you have a vision? I'm gonna say Grace take that one, and then I'll piggyback off of her just to see.
Honestly, I feel like we're going to be on a totally different level than what a lot of people would expect us to be on. You know, everyone is already looking at us because we're in year 3, and everyone is looking at us and expecting for us to run like the other chambers. And of course, we're not going to run like the other chambers. Right. But I also think that our trajectory to where we're going is going to succeed. Those just because of we're doing the things that we love, and then also we're doing something that affects a community that people push to the side. We don't think need something. We're the largest consumer. We're Black women are the most educated, and actually the most people to start a business. So when you look at those statistics and you think of those things, and those are the people that we're serving, that we're helping, our growth is going to be through the roof, I feel like.
She speaks to something that's like that should let you know, like, we've done so much in 3 years that some people think we've been around way longer. And I'm like, no, we're still a new organization. We're still doing growing. How active you are, because we're so active. But we knew that was the need in the community, and so it that speaks to volumes to that. But then also, I want our community to get away from comparison. And the reason why I say that is because structurally, in the systems that we're up against, we should not ever be comparing to another culture. Just to be honest, we need to be making our own lane, going from there, and make sure we're doing what we did better than yesterday or last year. Because a lot of times what I'm seeing, what happens is, when we're comparing to this and that, and we haven't had that same system or structure in place to help us, we'll sometimes either stop initiatives that we really need and should continue to go, or even businesses that we really need and should continue to go, or we're comparing it wrong. Most people compare down. Or compare, up, and you shouldn't be. I don't think it's any chamber that's under 10 years in the area, so we should never be compared to any chamber. And then and those type of things. So it's just I wanted to say that. But in the next 5 or 10 years, the vision of it definitely being a micro lender.
Oh wow. Okay.
Definitely, which we're already starting down that path. Definitely ensuring that we have at least 3 programs we're running underneath the chamber as far as like entrepreneurship training, making sure we have a guaranteed and grant loan program that we're running, ensuring that we have also some type of soft skill leadership training program.
Excellent.
For our parents, because that's what we've heard from the community, that they really need that type of soft skill for our parents and that leadership training.
Excellent.
So that those are the main programs. So the next, hopefully 2 years, I would like to see those 4 things actually off the ground.
Right. And that's great, because the soft skills often overlooked, right? Micro lending or microfinancing, absolutely necessary.
Yes.
For our businesses, because sometimes the traditional route doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Right?
Yeah.
And
we have the data to prove it.
Yeah, exactly. And if they can come to the chamber and be able to leverage those services, that definitely adds to your value as a chamber, and it adds to the benefit to the small business owner. Right? And are there members of the chamber who are non-African American? I mean, can anybody join the chamber?
I actually talked to one yesterday.
Yeah.
So we do have non-African American members of the chamber. We are. Cyber Circuit. I talked to Dave yesterday. So he's very engaged. And he reminded me, like, I need to renew. So he's like, but the thing that we want everybody to understand that our agenda is to help our Black businesses.
This is right. Exactly.
That is our agenda. So if you're passionate about helping and making sure you support the organization so that we can even do that more at a greater scale, we invite everybody to join. But understand that is where our objective is.
Right.
Which helps all small businesses.
Yes,
to be honest.
exactly. Exactly. And how do you interact with the city of Augusta as a chamber?
Okay.
Right. The city of Augusta, Richmond County. How do you interact with those government entities?
I would say that we've been working on that relationship with the city of Augusta this year for sure during the pandemic, and more because we've seen the CARES Act funding. Well, we really learned from the coalition of chambers, from our partners throughout the coalition, Atlanta Black Chamber of Commerce, Northeast Georgia Black Chamber, and so forth. As they started working more deeper with their cities, we began to work on that partnership with not only the city of Augusta, but the city of Aiken, and some other cities that we're working with now to really get some partnerships in aligning and really work with them. But Athens really was kind of the model. So we really seen how that community or that leadership in that city came together and said, okay, look, let's do something different with the CARES Act dollar. The pandemic is hurting, impacting that community the most. Let's make sure not only do we still give funding to the normal organizations to run programming, but let's also give funding to our newer organizations that we know have been doing so much in the community to also run programming. And so that's what we've been really presenting and working for with the city of Augusta, but still working on those partnerships. We've been working with the procurement department since for about 2 or 3 years. I want to say they were the first department officially to join the Black Chamber in the city of Augusta. So we're still working on that whole political advocation realm is what I would say. But looking to strengthen those partnerships. We, as chambers, our task is to focus on business, community, and government. Right. Especially as Black chambers. So we're really becoming that government arm. I think I've been in too many meetings that I even want to think about this year that I didn't even realize that I would be in, working, talking to state legislature all the way to the federal Senate. Especially with the commissioners locally and commissioners across the river and so forth, and council members and this and other. We are really working hard to ensure that the dollars we're seeing constantly coming down is starting to really effectively get into our community with new programming, because it's a lot of ways to do things. I think a lot of cities, from what we're seeing and we're evaluating and so forth, most of the time they have business initiatives. You see about 2 or 3 business initiatives at least happening in that city, 4 sometimes. I know Athens, I think, had like 4 going. That's a smaller city, so we should be able to have at least 2 or 3 running in this community. We definitely need a micro lending program. That is critical. The business owners missed out on a lot of different things during the pandemic because we didn't have a micro lender that really serviced this area, that was offering different programs through the SBA. So we're really working through that, talking to the SBA, working through partnerships, trying to see how we can get one stood up pretty quickly. So that's really our passion, because that access to capital is such a huge component for our businesses, and it's even working capital.
Yes.
So we can't, not only is it access, but it's also working capital where those gaps are for our businesses. And we can't say that it's being solved when it truly is not being solved.
Yes.
So we have to, as a chamber organization, continue to work on that relationship like the city of Augusta and the other cities, which we are working through. And we just look forward to having stronger partnerships.
Yes, access to capital, very important. It's like the spine in the human body.
Right.
Right? And I think many of our minority businesses or disadvantaged businesses that should have a plethora of pathways to access to capital. And I think it's a great benefit that you're offering as a chamber to expand that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was one of the initial goals. Like, that was immediate. We have to become a microlender. Like, that was just an immediate, because we knew that was a critical component. And I think, as we really work on serving disadvantaged and small business owners, it's very critical that you put the minority and the Black chambers in the room when you're developing things, having conversations, and make sure you provide those technical assistance dollars too. Don't just keep, bringing us in with just the volunteer and just taking our knowledge and this and other. Continue to value us as much as you're valuing, other chambers as well. I will stress the importance of that, just because this was the first year where I got heavy into this space, and I didn't realize it was so many, quite frankly, barriers.
Wow.
Until I got into it, and I was like, whoa.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, so we really have to tackle this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And for businesses that are interested in expanding their sphere of influence globally, right? Does the chamber interact with the World Trade Center of Atlanta, or is there an affiliate of the World Trade Center here? How does that work?
I don't think there's one here. Is there one here?
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of. I haven't heard of that as of yet. On a global scale, we haven't hit that. Right now, our main focus is, of course, really focusing on our partnerships throughout Georgia. Like I said, the coalition, you'll start seeing a lot more coming from the coalition as we become a body of a coalition, and then we're going to start making some moves. And then we are a member of the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, yes.
So as that continues to develop, I actually will be meeting with them next week.
Okay.
So we will begin to address things on a federal level. So right now, I think our focus is Georgia, CSRA, United States, and then eventually globally. But of course, if we're able to connect, we do have a board member that doesn't sit stateside, remember? So we already have that connection, so to say.
Exactly. And that's great.
And he's a business owner.
Right, that's great. And 3 years. Three years, that's short, like a blink of an eye, snap of a finger, is like 3 years, right? So, Ms. ShaGraila, in 3 years, I'm sure you've been here since the inception, right?
I came on in end of 2017, beginning of 2018.
Yeah.
All right.
So about a year and a half, I want to say.
Yeah.
Right? Year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. So, for you, what lessons have you learned? Right? You came on, the chamber is still fairly new, right? What lessons have you learned in your capacity, in your role?
Pick your partners wisely.
No, I mean that's real, right? That's real. That'll make or break you.
Yeah. Pick your partners wisely. Of course, learn. I guess they can be personal and business. Like learn, communication styles. Understand how like the person works. And what works. What works for both of you. It's the number one, the main one for me, and then also just how to step into a leadership position and step into that role has been another big one for me.
All right, Madam President.
Oh,
what about you?
What I've learned?
Yeah. What time is it? How much time do we have?
Yeah, how much time do we have for this? I think, definitely I think I didn't know how huge of an undertaking this was. And then, but really seeing the value in it, especially during the pandemic, really just made me be like, okay, it's so worth it. I mean, but it's, you learn how to, and I've had businesses before this and working on businesses now with partners and so forth. So it's not like I haven't structured anything before. And I'm a project manager, consultant. I'm a nerdy girl at the end of the day.
Right.
So I'm a structure person, but definitely learning how to, that communication piece, making sure that I'm, always as a leader figuring out the best tools for my team to make sure I'm communicating everything effectively, learning everybody's, communication style. Leadership is contact sometimes.
Yeah.
Contact sport. Everything's not always, pretty. Everything's not always cut and dry.
Yes.
Some conversations are crucial and tough to have. Being able to stand up for the community is a whole nother.
Open and honest.
Yeah. You got to be open and honest.
No ambiguity. This is the way it is.
This is the way it is.
Yeah.
And then being, I'm from Indiana, so coming to the South and being a woman leader has been eye opening.
Okay,
I will say that. It's been interesting. I'm not, I've always been in some type of or as a leader, just in a leadership role or whatever, used to helping manage things. That's just something normal. That's just kind of what I naturally do.
Right.
And naturally sometimes fall into or whatever, not even being asked.
Right.
But coming here and then being that, it's definitely a different dynamic than what I'm used to in Indiana. So I would say that, understanding all those nuances and learning how to navigate those pieces have been a learning curve for me as well. And then trying to understand, how to still, be an effective leader without letting those differences, impact what we're here to get done. So, and I know it's still changing. So a lot of times what I've learned throughout my time, even when I was in corporate, I was talking to you earlier that I had, in my 15 years, I had 7 different positions. And then I realized that I'm the person that really comes in and creates change. Or I'm creating something new. That's how it happened even in my corporate job, even though it was the same company, but I was always on the new initiative, the new thing. And so when you're that person, and I'm used to that doesn't bother me. But I also know that the other side has to be open to it.
Right, exactly.
So it's learning, do I navigate here? Do I go somewhere else and create the change? Because I'm that person that really comes in that, hey, this is your opportunity to change. Let's work together to get change. Because I'm a collaborative person. That's another. My biggest thing is, just keep it respectful. We're good.
Right.
We can have the open conversations and so forth and this, that, and the other. But I think that is like a learning curve. And then understanding your team is valuable. But anybody that has ever worked with a team, always, hold everything in confidence.
Yeah.
I can't stress it enough.
Yeah.
Your team members are going to go through things. Life happens. Things are always happening.
Yeah.
My life doesn't slow down.
Right.
You know what I mean? My life is always happening. I had to go take care of both my parents last year.
Yeah.
So, but my team, it's important to value your team. So as a leader, I wouldn't have been able to be in Indiana for a whole month.
Right.
And the chamber was still operating.
Right.
But because I have a strong team, and just making sure you're giving your team what you need, their feedback, whatever they need, etc. And just showing that value whatever level you can. I think that's important as a leader. And listening to the feedback so you can grow. And what do you need to do?
Right.
How can you be more effective?
Right.
So I think just learning and being able to take in knowledge and grow. That's big.
Yeah, growth is important because growth is important. Recognizing lessons, right, during the maturation process.
Right.
Understanding that the person you are year 1 is not the person you will be year 3.
Absolutely.
Right? as an individual or as a leader.
I'm pretty sure I got some gray hairs.
Yeah.
Augusta.
That's right.
CSRA.
That's right.
Thank
as a
you.
person or in a leadership role, right? So if you're still the person at year 3 as you were in year 1, you have not grown, right? And you have not learned any lessons because you haven't been able to shift, right? And move with the paradigm, right? So it's important that even as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, right? In year 1, you're going through 0 to 5 years is tough. That first year of growing a business is tough. That's 0 to 1 year. When you get past that first year, now you get past the second, the third, the fourth, and fifth. Yeah, it gets easier as you grow and as you mature. But there's still lessons, there's still hardships, there's still challenges, there's still obstacles, right?
Yeah.
And every day is a learning process, right? So, Mr. ShaGraila, as we begin to wrap up, and a young business is coming into the chamber, what would be your advice to that business?
Utilize what the chamber has. That's it. Like take like Ronic was saying, each board member has something that they specialize in, that they're known for. don't just wait till we have the forums or wait till, we have like the Business Matters Live or anything like that. Reach out to us. We're open to communication. We're open to, making sure that each member or each, person, if we can, let me send you this resource, or let me provide you with this information, or let me help you, where I can. Utilize what we have. The board is here for a reason.
Right.
We, work within our specialties and our expertise to bring to the members and to bring to the community. So use it, please. That's why we're here.
Right, exactly.
It's like we can't say it enough.
Right, and I think one of the things that members think that, okay, I pay my monthly or I pay my annual or quarterly, whatever the payment, the frequency of the membership payment, and they say, well, the chamber didn't do anything for me. Right. The chamber didn't do anything for me. Well, were you active? Did you participate?
Right. That's with any subscription. Like, think about when you have a Netflix subscription.
Right.
You're not going to be like, oh man, Netflix keeps taking, 17 of my dollars. You have to use it. Like, you pay the money. Utilize what is there.
Right.
That's why you're paying. You're paying for the service. So allow the service to help you. Right.
It's like walking into a gym and you stand there.
Right.
You didn't use any of the equipment. Oh, well, the gym didn't do anything for me. Well, you got to use the equipment. Miss Ronic, Madam President, what about you?
I was definitely say what echo what Gray has said, and just say that definitely utilize the chamber, utilize the services, and we are unique to where when we even formalize the chamber, even though we're on our 1.5 board, everybody always, I've gotten a lot of mentoring from other chamber presidents, but one thing I would say that we didn't have to go outside of that first board to do anything you've seen with the chamber.
Right.
So we've always had a unique dynamic where everybody on the board had a specialty to get things done. And so if you're seeing the organization, you see the marketing, you see everything that we're putting out, know that came from people in the CSRA area.
Right.
So we have the talent here. We have the people needed. There's no reason to go outside to get anything done.
Right.
I can't stress that enough because that happens a lot in our city, unfortunately. And then the other thing is that ask what can you do for the chamber?
Right.
Not only say what can the chamber do for you, but what can you do for the chamber? Because we're building an organization that is new, that is unique, that is not only focused on the membership, we're focused on the community as well.
Right.
So we have a community component because we're like, we can't just focus on membership.
Exactly.
We have to also focus on the community. We want to reach those who can't maybe afford to do the monthly payments yet, can't join as an annual member, cannot, maybe don't understand the value of it. But we don't want them to miss out that, hey, the PPP deadline was March 31st, but it got extended 60 days.
Exactly.
Those are critical information to get out to our community that we have to make sure we're sharing as an organization that's focused on the community, that's happening to our community. So that is where I would say for members or anybody thinking about joining the chamber, not only think about, okay, what can the chamber do for me, but what can you do for the chamber? Right. Because we're always needing help.
Exactly.
Right. With everything you hear we have going on.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a little John F. Kennedy, right? That's not what the chamber can do for you, but what you can do for the chamber, and that's real in itself, because it's not about the institution or the organization having everything to provide for you, but how can you help develop it? How can you help it gain in value so that it can serve the greater community? Right. Because it's what you put into it is what you get out of it, right? So for those who are listening, for those who are interested and say, oh my God, I want to join this chamber, how can they get through to you? Phone number, email, social media, how can they get through to you? Website?
I feel like I should have put up the website. I don't know that by heart, but I know the website, right?
Yeah.
The website is the best place to go to. Yeah. But social media is my GABC. Everything's my GABC.
Well, Facebook, you have to type in the Greater Augusta Black Chamber.
I have it as my JBC. That's weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to look for it. But put in the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce on Facebook to find us, and then like us on Facebook. Do you still like on Facebook? Okay. Gotta ask Millennial. I had to make sure. sure you ain't changed
The value
all the time.
of the millennial participation.
Yes, it's valuable. Like the whole real thing on Instagram, I have no clue what that means, but she can tell us.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Don't know. But okay, Instagram is my GABC, Twitter's my GABC, YouTube is even my GABC.
Right.
So we have a YouTube channel as well, and then of course our website is www.mygabc.org. And the reason why it says my is because this is your chamber.
Exactly.
So a lot of people didn't realize that is why we say my GABC, because not only do we want you to come in and say what can we get from this, but we want you to be interactive and say what can I give back.
Exactly.
Because this is truly a different, unique model than what you've seen or experienced before in the CSRA area.
It's the village concept.
Yes.
It's the village concept.
We have to bring the village back. That is definitely my objective. And it's very critical and it's working.
Yeah.
You know.
And especially in these days and times, we need to apply more of the village concept in order to make sure we are all growing and we're all leveraging the expertise and the resources of one another to help one another grow. Because it's not about me growing and me growing only, but how can I help you grow?
Yeah.
Because if you grow, I'm going to grow. If I'm growing, you're going to grow, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then the other thing I would just say, for anybody that's interested in, because this may come out from this interview, setting up a black chamber in the area.
Right, exactly.
Right. Since we're a newer organization, we can definitely speak to that foundational start.
Right.
One big thing I would say is just making sure that you have, get you some mentors of other presidents.
Right.
That's going to really help, that have been the founding chamber president. It's different when it's a president that has gotten a chamber handed over to them than it is a founding chamber president. So, we have our coalition. We're helping to stand up more chambers. That's what's starting to happen now. A lot of people are interested, of course, having either black or minority chambers in their area.
Right, exactly.
That is starting to be a big thing, and we're at the table, providing that advice because we have one of the most freshest perspectives of what's going on today.
Exactly.
So that's critical, and I can't stress enough that if I didn't have the mentorship, I wouldn't have went ahead and agreed to help get it started, because the Savannah Black Chamber president at that time, and then the Atlanta Black Chamber president, and so forth, because they put their hands around getting this organization up, it really helped me navigate through it and understand, okay, what does it really take to get it done? So that was critical. And I can't say, and even just saying the fact of keeping it to where you really are serving the community.
Exactly.
That's another aspect you'll hear from chamber presidents that have gotten really maybe big, and they're like, but once we got to this statement, we couldn't, there was no connection to the community anymore.
Right.
So they were try to grow it, as what you call grassroots as possible.
Right.
So that's why we do grassroots.
Right.
Because they said if you do it that way, and your companies and your organizations grow with you, you keep that community aspect.
Right.
So that would be another huge piece of advice. Even when I met chamber presidents that were in Texas or so forth, everybody really says that. Right. So that would be another thing.
Right, and that's great. And again, if you're interested in establishing or even doing a feasibility analysis to start a chamber, a black chamber, wherever you are, you see the need for it. I guess the Greater Augusta Black Chamber will be a wonderful resource for you to contact. And we're going to put all the contact information up so that you can definitely have it there in the video. I've had a wonderful day.
Well, I'm happy you had a great day. Thank you for coming to Augusta.
I had a wonderful day. There's no other way I could have spent this Saturday. I mean, I probably would have been in front of my computer all day working, but I get to drive out to Augusta and to meet with the wonderful members of the Greater Augusta Black Chamber. And I thank you, Madam President, Ronic West, for setting this up. This is a great opportunity for the On Location Spotlight Entrepreneur feature with Thompson Management Consulting. And Ms. ShaGraila, Madam VP, thank you so much for your time and joining us.
Thank you.
Any final thoughts? Or maybe do you think I don't think there's any such thing as I've said enough, but if you have any final thoughts that you want to get out.
Any final?
And you guys make sure you guys just follow the chamber, become members, can't stress that enough.
Right. Yeah, I think also just even engage if you're not a member. That's one thing I always stress to the community. Join our email list. You can reach it from our link tree, my GABCC. Go to our Instagram page. The link tree's up there. It's a way you can join our email list. We're constantly giving out information. The community is so critical. A lot of times we're uninformed.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to get information, or we're missing things. Connect with an organization that's really giving out that information.
Yes.
At least take the time to join a call once a week to say, let me learn what is going on, what opportunities are available to me. Because then that way that time is going to be spent valuable, and then you don't miss out on anything. And those organizations are supposed to set up to funnel that information to you.
Right.
And so, because that's what's happened in a lot of our communities, we just don't understand what's going on because there's so much going on.
Yes.
And so even as leaders in the community, start making sure you're funneling the information through the organization so we can get it out to the community effectively. I think I can't stress that enough, and that's where the value of the chamber, and that's one thing I really wanted to address, was that communication channel.
Right.
And just let people know, okay, if I can't go anywhere, I probably can go here and get it.
Exactly.
Find that one place in your community, or becoming that. I would say stressing that, and then just remember, we're one community, one voice, and the voice of Black business.
That's right. And you don't have to reside or have your business in Augusta to engage the chamber or to be a member of the chamber.
Yes.
You can be anywhere and engage the chamber.
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And to you ladies, happily International Women's Month.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that.
Happy International Women's History. Women are making history in business and entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And as a man, I am proud to support my female entrepreneurs.
And we're so proud to support our men as well.
Yeah, of course.
So we're doing something special this year.
Coming in June.
Coming in June. We're doing something for the man in business. So don't think it's just all about women. I've noticed the imbalance about just addressing Black women only. So we as a chamber organization, we got something coming for the Black men.
Oh, great, Sean. That means I'm making another trip out here in June.
Yes.
I'm only just down the road. It's just a short trip. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much for your time, your interview, your wisdom, your words of advice, your recommendation, your energy, your input, everything. And I know this day will be a great return on the investment of time that we're going to take to document all these wonderful stories and put it up on the YouTube channel. You ladies will have it for whatever you wish to do and how you wish to market the chamber and your members. And I thank you again.
Thank you.
Austin Thompson, On Location, the On Location Spotlight Entrepreneur Feature with Thompson Management Consulting. We look forward to another segment. Thank you so much. Have a great Saturday. Take care.